it is still the dominant analytics and HR relates to demographics and those four things in all of the largest companies. In Amazon, Facebook, every other company, they all track those four things and make decisions based on those things, which is crazy to me. And this is one of the things that got me excited about, bringing a different view.
Welcome to Tech for Founders podcast. I'm your host, Vanita, and today we have a special guest, Vasily Malyshev, the founder and CEO of Interlogos, a groundbreaking performance management AI platform with 15 plus years of experience and a proven record in entrepreneurship. Vasily has built a successful software-as-a-service startup, Interlogos, despite not having a technical background. In this episode, non-technical founders will gain valuable insights as Vasily shares his remarkable journey, leadership expertise, and the transformative potential of AI in performance management. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tech for Founders, to stay tuned for new episodes. So can you please share your journey as an entrepreneur and how you founded Interlogos, a performance management AI platform?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me. It's nice to join you. And now to talk about Interlogos. So prior to starting Interlogos, for about 10 years, I managed a software development company. So this was my previous business. It was acquired in 2022. And this company, the previous company, it started as a semi-remote company, main office in New York, everybody else around the world. And then towards the last 2-3 years, it moved to being completely remote. So managing your team when everybody's in the office is hard enough. Managing your team when everybody's remote is even harder. It's way, way harder. So to make sure that our team is efficient, is productive, and that I can actually help them grow, I've tried everything. I've tried doing one-on-one reviews. They're nice, they're helpful, but number one, they take a lot of time. Number two, as a CEO of the company, I don't work with everybody directly. So I don't have the first-hand knowledge about everybody. So it's hard for me to actually give the feedback to people with whom I don't interact day to day. Then I tried peer reviews when sort of employees review each other. When I first did it, just a regular peer review, everybody would just give compliments to each other. Everybody would just say, he's great, she's great, everybody's great. So it wasn't really doing anything. Then I switched to doing anonymous peer reviews because I thought, okay, maybe if it's going to be anonymous, everybody will be honest. But then it just, more people just started to not answer at all. And then I would never find out who didn't answer because, it's anonymous. Then I tried time tracking, but tracking time on its own doesn't tell you really anything about the quality of work. I tried screenshots, but screenshots, I'm not going to look through screenshots of people, and people hate screenshots. So basically, every method that exists to understand how somebody's working is flawed. That's what I found in my own experience, but also on top of it, I spoke to different folks in large companies. I spoke to a senior engineer at Amazon who says that at Amazon, every time you open your computer, at least for their department, you would get a quick performance question. It would ask you quickly, like, how is this? How is that? And I'm assuming Amazon is doing this because they figure, if we ask one quick question each day, everybody will answer honestly because it's just a small question. This guy told me that for the last 2-3 years, he just gave random responses because he doesn't care. I talked to a guy at Citibank. He said that basically, everybody submits, everybody just copies each other answers on all of the performance review questions. So I spoke to multiple people, and in my own experience, the system is just flawed. Nobody understands how people work, and nobody has the processing power to actually process the data that they have. And all of this led to starting Interlogos because we saw, again, two problems: lack of analytics, and then also lack of, actually time and processing power to understand those analytics and make decisions based on that. And that's how Interlogos was started to fix those issues.
That's excellent. So it was very much you facing all of these problems yourself and solving it by your own experience and also speaking to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, and it's it's not that only I, as an employer, think about performance management. Every single, every best person, every best developer, every best designer, every best whoever I worked with, they all want to know what they need to do to become better. Every person who wants to be great, they want to get some objective analytics, objective data, and good feedback about how they need to grow, what they need to do, to get the promotion, to hopefully earn more and stuff like that. And because the modern methods do not really allow for that, this sort of gap exists that we're trying to fill with intelligence.
Definitely. So you're a very hands-on CEO who gets involved in HR as well, because this is HR. Am I correct?
Yeah. That's essentially HR. Yeah.
That's excellent, because I think if with these things, if you don't get involved yourself, like you don't really see the problem, and then someone underperforms and you don't know, and they reply incorrectly, like you said.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was in a way lucky enough for two things. Number one, the companies that I worked with, that I managed, they were not 10,000 people companies. The previous company was only about 25 people when I was acquired. So it was a sort of a good enough size for me to be able to have direct, relationship with each other and see all of those problems. And I think this helped me in understanding the actual problem.
Excellent. So as someone without technical experience, how did you navigate the challenges of creating a software as a service startup like Interlogos? What strategies did you use to overcome any obstacles?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most important thing is your team. There is a quote that a business or a company is only as good as the people that work there. And I think for startups, especially at an early stage, this is the most important thing. Even more so for non-technical founders, because as a non-technical founder, you will not be able to solve every issue in your company. But to an extent, I think that's fine, because to me, as a CEO, as a founder, your best sort of quality is not to be able to solve every problem yourself, because I think technically there's no genie in the bottle who can solve every design issue, every development issue, every product, every marketing issue. But your goal is to find the right people who can solve those issues. And here, I think the important thing is that when you're looking for those people, focus on character as opposed to their skill set today. Because in my experience, again, the best people I've actually end up working with were people who were hired when they were on a junior level, just starting out, but they have this passion that they want to grow, they want to be the best at what they're doing, they love what they're doing, and this helped them succeed and grow, and also helped our company succeed and grow. So I'd say focus on your team and hire for character, hire people who actually love what they do, who are excited about your company, and who want to grow, who want to become the best designer, best developer, what have you, in what they do.
So I think what you have being a non-technical founder is that this edge of like seeing how like the non-technical aspect of a technical person really adds to their ability to do the job.
Yeah. I think in many ways, yeah, I agree.
So what inspired you to develop an AI-based platform specifically for performance management? And how does Interlogos help teams grow and achieve their goals?
Yeah, so what inspired me was, again, the similar issues that I experienced, but how Intelligence helps, that's a great question, because we focus on a few things. So up till now, I focused mostly on performance management, but really we focus on two or three things. Number one, employee well-being. Number two, recognition. And number three, performance management. So in terms of employee well-being, we do a couple of things. First of all, we just make sure that employees can focus on their work without distractions. But second, we help employees avoid burnout. And to do that, we still use our analytics plus AI to provide suggestions. So for example, if we see, let's say in your company, you have I'm just using developers and designers because this is the people I work with on a daily basis. But again, let's say you have a developer who is working super hard. You know, he's a or she is a great person. They work a lot, and but let's say they didn't take any time off in the last 6 months, and their performance started to drop. What many companies mistakenly do is they come up to this person and say, "You're doing terrible. Improve." But that's not the real issue. The issue is that this person is just burning out. They've been working so hard for a long time that they just got tired. So our system can actually understand this. And if we see that somebody's getting burned out, we would suggest to the manager and to that employee that, hey, maybe it's time to just get some time off, relax, recharge, and then everybody wins. Because the employee wins, because employee obviously gets to relax, enjoy some time off, recharge, and then the company wins because if they're going to try and force a person who's burned out, they're going to force them to work, it's nothing good will happen. The performance will just continue to drop, and sooner or later that employee will just leave the company. So this is just one example of how we work on employee well-being side, but we also work a lot on the performance and recognition side. The performance side of things is just understanding the performance of everybody in your team, and understand the performance of your team for managers and understanding your own performance for employees. But we also have a recognition part to our product, which is if, for example, if let's say you're working harder than everybody in your team, you can get an automatic bonus. It can be an automatic additional time off, or it can be a cash bonus, whatever the company decides the bonuses are. But we basically automate bonuses and recognition for hardworking people. Because again, what happens in many companies, and I think one of the biggest demotivating factors for best employees is that when your top employee is working harder than everybody else, and then there's a second employee that is hardly working, but they both get paid the same, everything the same, and then the top performer will just slowly lose motivation. So whoever works hard, we just want to keep recognizing their efforts, giving them bonuses, and our system can help with that and do that automatically without anybody wasting any time.
Is there any kind of system for approval? For example, with the cash bonus for an employee, does this send something to you that you need to approve this?
So we do it in a form that company first automatically decides what bonuses they can give for what. And after that, there's no other approval line after that, which I think is a good way to do it because this makes everything automatic and this makes it transparent for employees. Employees and people generally want to know that if they do ABC, if they work hard, they get a bonus. They don't want to be in a situation where they work hard, but then they still need to wait for somebody's approval. And once we add this element of approval, it adds subjectivity into the picture because, you're lucky if all of your managers in your life were super objective. But I think in real life, there's always subjective element. It's, popularity contests, this and that. So we don't want to add this approval. We want to make it automatic. So once the company sets up the rules initially, after that, there's no additional approval. You do good work, you get rewarded, and that's it. There's nobody else stopping you from receiving that additional recognition and bonus.
That's excellent because I think objectivity is important because not everyone's going to have a really nice manager.
Yeah. And this is a big problem. When I was working throughout, I've been in this industry for 13, 14 years by now. And there is a big problem, even from the employer side, of promoting wrong people into the leadership position. In my experience, I've unfortunately a few times promoted wrong people. They could have been, again, great developers or marketing managers, but you need to have a teamwork aspect to your character to be a good manager. You need to be able to communicate with other people. You need to be able to devote a lot of time to other people. And unfortunately, not a lot of people can or want to do that, even if they're amazing technically at what they do. Just the leadership part is totally different thing. And if you put those people in this management position, then all of those management decisions, including bonuses and stuff like that, it just goes sideways, and that's why this problem exists. Not necessarily because the manager is a bad manager, but just because they're not a skilled manager per se. They can be an amazing designer, but just not a great manager.
I see. So this system helps add in the important element that someone needs to have in order to get into a leadership position and do well.
Yeah, in a way, absolutely, yeah.
So could you share a success story or specific example of how Interlogos has made a significant impact on a team's performance or productivity?
Yeah, so I'll give you two examples, I'll start with an interesting example from one of our users. And it's just an unexpected, actually, benefit that we found out recently about our product. So one of the things that we try to measure is how focused you are during your work, how distracted you get because of Slack messages, Facebooks, and whatever. And we try to give you suggestions about how to keep focused. And at the same time, we measure that burnout level, not only on a sort of a monthly, yearly view, but on a daily view as well. And generally speaking, everybody has more energy in the morning. Most people slowly go down through the day. That's a normal thing. So we have those two stats that we measure, and we got an interesting feedback from one person, and she said that this specific section helped her with her own work, because she says that she has an ADHD, so she's constantly, distracted person. But our system, when she actually saw objective analytics into how distracted she is, it turned out she's not that distracted. She's actually doing pretty good. And she said that this helped her tremendously, because part of the problem with somebody with this, ADHD type of thing is that sometimes you are distracted, but sometimes you think you are distracted, and thinking about being distracted actually makes you distracted. So once she saw that objectively she's doing good, she's fine, she's not worse than anybody else in terms of those stats, she felt easier, felt happier, and it just made her work much easier. So this is an unexpected thing that we found out that helps some people just to actually feel better about themselves because of some things they thought were wrong. But then the second thing, just from our own experience, so we've hired a marketing manager who is a great guy in the current company, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling the story, but I think he's fine because it's a good end to the story. But when we hired this person, he's a great guy. And generally in a startup, I think you need to be of a mindset that if the person does not produce results, then maybe you need to let go of that person, because in a startup you need to work fast. If somebody's not producing results, unfortunately, you need to move on, try something new. So this is an interesting example, because this person joined our company. He started working, a month went by, 2 months went by, and we really didn't achieve any great results in marketing. But I started to think, maybe it's time to let that person go. But what I kept seeing is that our platform actually kept on showing that he was one of the hottest working persons in the team. So despite not having the results, the marketing results that we need, I saw that he kept on working hard. And there was nothing else in the universe of the things that we have besides our system that told me that he is working hard. Our system essentially prevented me from letting go of this person. And lo and behold, 1 month later, he did some incredible things. We got a whole lot of leads. We got a whole lot of investor interest. And this was an example when without our system, I, and honestly, most other people would likely let go of that person. But I was fortunate enough to see that this person is actually trying hard. And I am a very, very strong believer that if somebody's trying hard, sooner or later, it will work out. Like if somebody is actually, even, I in our business, somebody else in their business, honestly, any entrepreneur, I'm a very strong believer. If you work hard on anything, sooner or later, everything will be good. So fortunately, I did not let go of that person because of our system. It helped me to prevent this from happening. He stayed, he achieved remarkable results. And even our conversation today with you is part of his work. He was the one, who also found you. So it's a good success story that would not have happened but for our product actually telling me that he's a hard worker.
Definitely. So your two stories, the first one helped. It shows how Interlogos has helped employees, not only managers, make good decisions, but also employees perform better by themselves. And also the second one is the fact that it gave a different opinion based on data, which help you make better decisions and keep a high performance member on your team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. So as an immigrant entrepreneur, what lessons or insights have you gained that you believe can benefit other founders, especially those facing similar challenges?
Yeah. So I think I think a lot of it for entrepreneurs, specifically immigrant or not, honestly, I think a lot of it is about your mindset. And to me, what does the trick is the combination of two things. And number one, believing that you yourself can solve any problem in this world. As bizarre as it sounds, as crazy as it sounds, I think as an entrepreneur, or honestly, it's like as anybody who's trying to do anything, you must believe that you can solve any problem that is thrown at you. This is thing number one. And thing number two, which might be a bit controversial, but it helps me. So number one, believing in yourself. But number two, if something goes wrong, blaming yourself. And let me explain it, because I know overall people think, do not blame yourself, self-love, this and that. But I think as long as you believe that you can solve any problem, blaming yourself to an extent is a good thing, because once you start thinking that, once you put your mindset towards thinking, what could I have done differently to achieve a better result? Once you start thinking this way, that there's something that you can do to prevent some problem, then you come up with new solutions, new ways of, solving business problems or other problems. So to me, those two are super important. This, I don't know if it helps everybody, but to me, this is super helpful. Number one, believing you can solve anything. Number two, if there is a problem, blame yourself for not fixing this problem, because once you do that, you will find a solution to that problem, which at the end will help you, achieve great things.
Definitely. This is very good advice. I especially agree with number two, because for me, I frame it as accountability, that it's like you blame yourself, but you're not like hating yourself, right? You're just improving.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what you said is absolutely correct. There is a line between holding yourself accountable and hating yourself. Hating yourself will not help you at all. It's not going to get you anywhere. In fact, it's going to get you depressed and you're going to be stuck and, nothing good will come out of it. But making sure you keep yourself accountable, this is the important thing. And yeah, I think you've clarified it very well, and I agree 100%.
Thank you. So how do you see the role of AI evolving in the field of performance management? And what opportunities or advancements do you foresee in the near future?
Sure. So what I think is happening with many companies in the performance management right now is that a lot of companies are starting to add AI, but I think they're adding AI for the wrong things. And what I mean by that is that most companies out there, so performance management today, most of it is, again, one-on-one reviews, and maybe you send questionnaires, again, like I said, in Amazon, or honestly, in all other big US companies, there's a questionnaire sent, somebody answers. And then what performance management AI does in those industries is that they use AI to analyze answers of people. So they try to analyze tone in which people are writing. Is this person writing positive messages, negative messages? They try to understand what keywords do they use. Do they like something? Do they don't like something? And what I think all of them are missing is the fact that people do not answer those questions truthfully. And what I mean by that, I have not seen a single, like, a common question that companies asks to understand if the person is engaged or not. They, no joke, they send the question to an employee and they ask, would you change your job for another job at another company, but at the same amount of salary? And they're asking this because they want to understand, will you jump ship? There's not a single sane person who will answer yes, because why would you tell your employer that you're about to jump ship? It doesn't make any sense. So I think the problem with all of those questions is that they assume that what people answer is truth, and nothing but the truth. And it is not. It doesn't say anything bad about the people, but of course, when an employee answers to an employer, of course they want to say things that are most beneficial to them. There's nothing bad about them. That's just what people do, and that's absolutely okay. But that's, I think, the problem with AI and performance management in those companies, that they don't focus on the data that they feed to AI. They only focus on AI. But in order for AI to be helpful, you need to feed good, proper, objective, clear data to it. And I think that's the problem that exists right now with some of the other companies.
Absolutely. So it's very much asking the same questions that you would have asked before ChatGPT, and
Yeah,
keeping that data yourself and then making decisions, but instead bringing those false data into ChatGPT and also not helping you in the same way.
yeah, exactly. Because what I think not a lot of people know is that ChatGPT, before it was launched to public, there was a whole lot of data that ChatGPT team analyzed. They taught the models, they instructed the models. So they've worked, I don't know how long, but I would assume years on the data first and then on the AI part. So without the data, everything else doesn't make sense. And yeah, I agree with what you said. And ChatGPT is a good example where they focused a lot on the data that they feed in order to teach their AI.
Absolutely. So in your experience, what are some of the key factors that contribute to a startup success, and how have you applied those principles to Interlogos? I know we've touched upon this.
Yeah, yeah. So I'd say, I will just sort of maybe double down on the team aspect. I am super lucky. In my previous company, we had a great team. In our current company, I think we have an amazing team. And, I think there is a saying that says, that goes something like, a good person is not a job title, in that, just being a good person is not helpful for a business. But I think in a way it depends on the definition of a good person. To me, a good person is not just a happy person who's always happy, who's always smiling, who never does bad things. It's a person who also, wants to do great things, wants to help, wants to achieve, certain level of growth. And in that case, I think hiring good people is very important. I think our team is just like that. In our team right now, not everybody in our team is a super experienced professional. Some people joined with very little experience, but the pace at which they grow inside our team is amazing. In 6 months, I think we have one or two guys who in 6 months, they went from junior to at least a middle, just like that, just because they wanted to grow really, really hard, and they were good people in terms of, just doing good things, in terms of being, again, accountable, trying to do good things in terms of the work. And yeah, so I'd say focus on your team, hire for character. And this really, I think, for startup, one of the most important things there is.
That's excellent. So when hiring, you look more for potential of ability to succeed rather than the track record of what they have previously done.
I agree, especially honestly, because resumes today, I think there is a statistic that 60 or 70% of people, I wouldn't say lie on their resume, but they exaggerate a little bit things on their resume. So I think definitely focus on character and not just their previous experience.
Absolutely. And also, a lot of them are now ChatGPT generated.
Exactly. So it doesn't even matter at all.
So, as a frequent speaker at prestigious institutions like New York University and the United Nations, how do you effectively communicate the value of performance management and AI to different audiences?
Yeah. So I think what helps a lot is being truly passionate about what you do, whatever it is. Um, and I think this really helps deliver the message of your business, of your company, of whatever problem you're solving. And I can tell you, just as an example, one of the things that also got me so, I don't know, it is just a weird thing about this HR industry that I've learned as I started working more and more in it. So HR industry, there's a whole part of that industry. It's called people analytics. And I know this because when we started working on our product, we thought about people analytics as different statistics of how good they work. But in HR today, people analytics is about what race you are, what age you are, what gender you are, and how much you get paid. Honestly, four things that, in my experience, have zero effect, zero relationship to how good anybody is. Because age, gender, race, all of that, it honestly, I don't know, in my experience, I don't know, maybe somebody else had a different experience. In my experience, zero difference. But it is still the dominant analytics and HR relates to demographics and those four things in all of the largest companies. In Amazon, Facebook, every other company, they all track those four things and make decisions based on those things, which is crazy to me. And this is one of the things that got me excited about, bringing a different view, because the way we look at people is purely how good you are at what you do. Honestly, we don't even care about your name, how you look. Obviously, we don't even care about that. But it just, we only care about, can you complete the work that you're assigned to do? Are you better than somebody else? And that everything else doesn't matter. And I think this what helps me sometimes deliver my message, because I think there are things that I'm passionate about in our industry. And I think for other people, if they are passionate about what they're doing, deliver it with the same or somewhat similar passion, then I think this will help deliver it to different audiences.
Absolutely. So, something that I noticed that you focus on a lot is that when you hire people and when you look at performance management, you look more at the EQ level rather than IQ. So whereas big companies, they mainly just look at, well, the key things that we judge people by, but you look at more like their emotional intelligence, their ability to perform in like the next 3 to 5 years and grow. I think that's very good, very progressive. I like it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So, can you provide some practical tips or advice for non-technical founders who are looking to leverage AI or technology in their ventures?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would, for any founder, really, I would do the following things if you're thinking about starting a company business. Number one, create a web. Before you build the product, before you build anything, create a landing page and a website that explains your product. And on that page, add an email sign up, basically that says, sign up to try our product. Launch this landing page, try to advertise it, and see what traction does it get. Before you build anything, test how many people will sign up. When those people will sign up, get on a call with them. Send an email to them. Hey, I saw you're interested in our product. I would love to, talk with you for a few minutes to make sure that our product can actually solve your needs. Talk to those people. Those people will tell you what features you need to build in your product. And this is super important before you build anything. Talk to those people, get them to tell you what they need. And then once they tell you, then build the product. This is a mistake that I actually did in this company, in previous businesses. And this is a mistake that I think everybody does, is building first before you test the idea. And honestly, I saw so many interviews that say don't build before you test that idea. and I still build it. And probably most people that will listen to me right now will still build it anyway. But it helps a ton if you first test it with a landing page or something like this, and then go on to actually build your product after you get some feedback.
So this is definitely you're using the iterative method of software development. So and you're getting that user feedback even before you start building anything.
Exactly. And I think, again, it's super important because even in this company, what we did, we built the first version. We realized almost right away that nobody actually understands what we're doing because we had a super complicated home screen. Nobody understood what it is. We had to rebuild it. Then again, we got more feedback. We had to rebuild it. So basically, the product that is online right now, it passed through, I think, 3 iterations already, even though it's in very early stages. So definitely, the sooner you get the feedback, the better.
Definitely. So we are running out of time for today, but thank you so much for joining today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you for having me. I think we had a great conversation, and thank you for adding some of the things. I think what you said about accountability, I think that sums up what I was trying to say perfectly. So thank you for doing that as well.
Thank you.